Hello, everybody. Welcome into my latest live video. It's Saturday, the 22nd of June, 2024. I'm Carey Holzman, and today I've got a mini PC review for you. Now, we've done a lot of mini PCs. I'm sure there's more coming, but I'm always looking for something different. If we've done a mini PC that is very similar, I don't want to make the same video twice. So you can always go back and watch those other videos if you've missed them in our library here. And when I was offered the opportunity to look at this new brand we've never heard of before called Trycoo, I took a deeper look to see if this looks like something we haven't done. This one is very similar, but some significant differences that, in my opinion, make it worthwhile to investigate and explore. And we're going to get into that here in just a moment. But first, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. A shout out to our friend Buster out there in Scotland. All of our members and moderators in blue, thank you for hanging out with me on this not normal Saturday broadcast. However, when the opportunity arises, of course, I want to seize it and get caught up with the backlog of videos we have to make. As we continue to prep Studio C, the work continues. It's still going to be a while, but we are making progress. And sometimes you just have to wait. You have to wait for paint to dry. You have to wait for cement to dry. It's one of those things where it sort of forces you to take a breath and not overwork yourself, because otherwise, well, it'd already be done and falling apart, basically. So we are moving as fast as reasonably possible to get in there. And we also want to make sure it gets done right the first time. I don't want to be in the middle of a broadcast and have a part of the wall just fall out on me, or, I don't know, fall through the floor. So we're going to make sure it's all done correctly, and it'll take as much time as it takes. When we have more updates with regards to an idea of when we might start being able to move in there, I'll certainly keep you updated, but it's going to be a few weeks yet. So in any event, let's take a quick look here in the chat. I see a lot of friends in blue joining us today. And yeah, welcome in to Jason Willis and Mark Baggett. There's Marlena hanging out in there with John Svensson and Ghetto Fortnite, Daryl Loftus, and Eddie Casanova. Garfield Rupe and Dr. Bill joins us along with David Graham, Steve Chappelle, and PC Man. Frank Jimmy, Ben Laird joining us from Scotland. Bikeman I7, as well as Zach Bischoff, Gil Garcia, R2 Resenin, Scott and Claudio Ventura, Ron Barnish and Alhej Depej, Bull142, David Martinez, and Dean Sermersheim saying hello. Well, thank you for hanging out with us. I hope you're having a good Saturday. Now, the mini PC we're going to look at today. What makes this so different from others we've looked at? Well, in some ways, it's exactly identical, and in other ways, very, very different. So let's take a look, first of all, at Trycoo's website. Now, I've never heard of Trycoo, so I thought I'd Trycoo out. So let's go over to my window capture and take a look at their official website to see how they're promoting this. And this is the specific model that we have. Okay, so the HO4 is the model. It's an Intel 12th generation i5. You can see it's got RGB along the edges. And then we have a couple of other product pictures here showing the RAM installation, NVMe installation, and Wi-Fi. So that looks like it's got 2 NVMe slots, 2 DDR4 slots, and a replaceable Wi-Fi. I like that they more accurately updated the maximum 4 terabyte size, although it probably is 8 terabytes. They're always lagging behind for some reason, but it would seem weird to me that someone would spend more on the storage drive than on the PC they put it in. But, you know, never underestimate some of the purchasers out there for making any sense. It certainly doesn't represent the norm or expected. They say small body, giant power, and we'll get into whether or not we agree with that. Spoiler alert, I do agree with it. There's a 4K 60 hertz HD video output that'll support 3 screens at the same time. Not 4, but 3. We've got an i5 12450H CPU. That's soldered in. It's a laptop mobile chip. Those are only soldered in. 32 gigs of DDR4 with a 1 terabyte NVMe drive. It's Wi-Fi 6 with a dual 2.5 gig LAN output. We already talked about triple display, silent cooling, and it is filled with ports, as you can see from the front and back close-up pictures here. There's a clear CMOS button, headphones or headset or speakers. You can use any of those for the 3.5 millimeter audio jack. There's a Type-C USB as well as regular Type-A USB. There are, let's see, a power button, more USB, display port output, HD port output, LAN, and power input barrel style power jack. And then the LED rainbow strip around the edges. So a little bit more of the close-ups here of the features and expandability, size comparison, reference, some frames per second on some games, 4 games out of 150 million. So there's a small sample. And then there's office work, I guess listening to the radio or podcast. And then what they call diversion, which I imagine is gaming. A little bit more about Trycoo and who they are is located down here on the website. Now, if you notice, all of those specs match almost exactly Paladin with the exact same model number, HO4. The case is a different color. Other than that, they seem identical. So this unit, I don't think anybody else on YouTube has a review of the HO4. I think we're the first. This is a pre-order from Paladin. Now, I was very impressed with Paladin's quality, and it looks like this is a rebranding or a sub-brand of the same company. I'm not sure which, but just to be clear, these appear to be exactly the same machines, just like Ace Magic and Cambrui, V-Link, and there's a couple others that all align with different model manufacturer names, but the same models. I'm not sure what the idea is behind this. It's a little confusing to me, but I did like Paladin and still do. So I'm hopeful that this Trycoo is just a different flavor from the same brand. And we're going to find that out today. So that was the first thing that kind of had me wondering. 7 color lighting modes. Okay. I'm going to assume all this information, I'm assuming, is exactly the same, and that all they've done is change the brand and the color of the case. Probably to match the brand, I don't know. See, because they have a W04 and they have an HA4. Nobody's done the, as far as I can tell, the W04. So very, very minor 1-letter change, and you get a whole different model. And I just thought that was pretty interesting. I don't know that it's good or bad. It's just interesting to me. Finally, if you want to buy on Amazon, they do offer the Trycoo there. This is the HO4. There's a $30 coupon. That's going to bring all of this power to $399. $399, and you're going to get Windows 11 Pro. You're going to get that Core i5 12th gen. It gets up to 4.4 gigahertz. And I think that's a really, really good price. So you're just under $400 on a machine that is plug and play ready, or at least supposedly. We're going to find that out. And is there any reviews on this? It's got 4 ratings. Looks like everything is happy. Customer review of free product. Keep that in mind. Okay, so every review here is positive, and every review is a review of a free product. No differently, they sent us the Mini PC in exchange for a review. Just for full disclosure, I'm not being paid to do the review. There are no conditions. There are no, I don't submit the video to them for approval. I am free to speak my mind and be honest. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. And if I thought it was going to be a waste of time, I wouldn't even bother entertaining and taking the time to look at it. So the very fact that it's here and we're reviewing it for free is just because I think it's worth taking a look at, so we can learn a little bit more about it, because I can't really tell if it's good or bad from the information I've had. until I have it on the bench. And here we are. We're going to figure this out together. So we're going to start with the unboxing. Now, I was starting to prep this the other day, and as soon as I fired it up, there was something very different about it. So I said, okay, I'm putting everything back in the box. I am not going to prep this because I want you to see what I saw, because I've never seen this before. It's not a big deal, but it's interesting. I think that's the theme here. This isn't anything mind-blowingly different or worrisome. It's similar, but it's different in ways that I've never seen before. So is that good or bad? We're going to find out. So just for full disclosure, I took this out of the box already. And then as soon as I fired it up and I realized what it was doing, I shut it off because I wanted to share it with you. And for that reason, there's no prep work done other than I've thrown a couple of bags out. So when we open this up, we have our documentation. And then normally the mini PC is in a little plastic bag, which I've thrown out. But here's the mini PC. And this thing feels like it's made out of a brick. I don't know why it's this heavy. But in the 80s, one of the ways you could tell if something was quality was how much it weighed, even with computer power supplies back in the day, not that long ago, really. A lightweight power supply was usually, almost 100% of the time, not a good power supply. But then we saw pulling tricks where they'd put like little lead weights and things to make it feel heavier to imply that it's quality. That's not what's happening here. Now, this is probably 3 to 4 times heavier than any other mini PC I've picked up. Is it good or bad? I kind of like the idea that it's heavy. All right, so then we have just the protective foam and shipping. We have this cardboard little separator here. And then below that, we have our power supply. This was also in a plastic bag. So everything's in plastic bags. If you ever see a live unboxing where things are not in a plastic bag, that would imply to me that the creator did something off camera. And if they're telling you they didn't, they're lying, or they're not disclosing it for some reason, or they received a used unit. But everything should be in bags. So that's your first clue. There's extra thermal tape if you want to add another NVMe drive. That's a nice touch. We've got screws for a mount. That's good to have. And we have a piece of cardboard that says Peloton. Well, that's interesting. So the Trycoo includes Peloton branding. So interesting. So they're not hiding the fact that they're Peloton. I thought maybe they were, but that couldn't be any clearer than that. All right, let me set this aside. Let's just get all this put off to the side here. And let's hook this up. Now, this is a standard barrel connector power supply, not too large. I prefer when they have a cable versus having this plug straight into the wall. But it is narrow enough. I don't think it's going to block any plugs on either side. We'll bring this up close, take a look at what it says. Now, again, if you don't see the name of the manufacturer, I would get a label maker or a Sharpie. Yeah, it says Hunki. I would get a silver Sharpie and I would just write Trycoo HO4 or use a label maker, because these barrel connectors are so common. You don't want to plug the wrong barrel connector into the wrong device. A lot of customers, a lot of consumers, they think, well, if the plug fits, it must be the right one. And that's a great way to see smoke and to ruin your device. And it will not be a warranty issue. That'll be on you. If we bring the unit up close, it's going to look exactly like the photos we showed you on the website, with one difference being that button right there controls your LED mode, including turning it off altogether. Other than that, a lot of vents. It's all metal, feels like metal. And it's upside down. Let's go around the back. There's your 2.5 gig LAN. DisplayPort HD output. The USBs back here are 2.0. The USBs up front are going to be 3.2. And the USB 4 would be your third video output in it. This one, the little one. In addition to other Type-C USB devices that can utilize that. So let me go ahead and plug this bad boy in, and I'll show you what I saw that made me turn it off and say, I'm going to save this for you guys to see it. And the reason is, there might be a good chance you're going to see this at some point if you're ordering equipment coming out of Asia. And I don't want you to panic or worry, because it's really not that big of a deal, but it is quite interesting. Only I say that because I've never seen it before. I mean, if I ever wanted to, it's easy, but I never thought to try. So you're probably like, what's he talking about? You'll see here in just a minute. Let me get the keyboard and mouse set up. And you know, those USB 2 ports are great to use for keyboard and mouse. You don't need to waste a fast USB 3 port on something like that, unless you're an extraordinarily fast typer that can go beyond USB 2.0 speeds, in which case I like to see that in person. Okay, so I'm going to go to let's put that over there. My HDMI input, and I will put myself in the corner like that. Okay, so I'm going to turn this on. I think that's all I need. You'll see the RGB lights up around the edges. But now watch what it does. Because if you're easily panicked, you're going to notice, let's get rid of camera 1, the writing down below what I call the toilet bowl flushing, that round circle. That's all in Mandarin or Cantonese, I don't know, it's Chinese. And then it continues in Chinese. Now, normally you wouldn't get this screen. The reason that we are getting this screen is I shut the machine off by removing power from it. And now it's giving us that error message that we have not properly shut the machine down, or Windows wasn't shut down properly. So if you know what these buttons are, I think it's the one on the right, is just to restart. And we're going to try that one more time. And again, with my camera out of the way, you'll see full screen here. Now, once again, I have no idea what that says, but it is a Windows out-of-box experience, okay? So this is normal. And in just a moment here, you're going to get the typical screen that should be familiar to us all in a different language. And you can see whatever this language is the default. I don't know why they sent this to me in the United States with this Chinese language as the default, but it's easy. You just select English and click yes. And we want the United States and click yes. And the US keyboard with no secondary keyboard language. Now here, it wants us to connect to Wi-Fi, so we'll do our Shift F10. Shift F10. No, is that not working? Shift F10. There it is. I don't know why I'm having such a problem. And then we type in OOBE/bypass NRO. OOBE. Got to put the slash in the right direction. So now it's going to fire up again one more time, and this time it should not force that network connection. This is very common with Windows 11. Well, let's see if it probably will still be in Chinese, because I don't believe it saved anything that we did. No, it's in English now. So apparently it said just a moment in Chinese. Good to see what it says in English. I mean, it could have said you're an idiot. I don't know what it says. All right, now we're going to go through the setup one more time. This is a normal Windows 11 process if you want to bypass the out-of-box experience requirement that has, has you logging into a Microsoft account. So I was going to say in just a moment, but that's what the screen says. We should start up our Windows 11 out-of-box experience one more time. All right, so English, United States, US keyboard layout, no secondary language, same as before. Now I have the I don't have internet option, and I have to tell it twice. Accept the license agreement. I'll put in the name user, enter, enter with a blank password, so it'll just go right to the desktop. I'll keep our location settings on. That way it'll automatically set our date and time, as well as anytime I want to do a search for anything near me, it'll know approximately the area that I'm in. So if I'm looking for a restaurant or, I don't know, some kind of business, I don't have to specify where I am to find out where the business I'm looking for is closest to where I am. So for that reason, I leave location settings on. So now we go through the final steps of the Windows 11 Pro update process. Now, I don't know what version, if this is 22H2, 23H2. We're going to find that out here in a minute. Because this is as far as I've ever taken this boot up process, I wanted you to see the Chinese wording, and I wanted you to know that if you ever see that, it's not a big deal. You don't have to send the unit back. Just proceed forward and just change the language when asked. Now, if it boots into Windows in Chinese, it may be difficult to find those menu options if you can't understand what they say. And then you have to look at another computer and count how many lines down, which is ridiculous. In that case, you might send it back, or you might just do a clean install of Windows. But because we went through a proper out-of-box experience, which is how it should be, changing that default language, which we've never had to do before. Somebody made a mistake here. But if that mistake is made again on a machine that you purchase, or if you should accidentally choose the wrong version of language during the reinstall, I think a lot of people would just reinstall again. When it's completely unnecessary, it's much faster to simply change the language very, very quickly during the out-of-box experience. Okay, so now we're up and running, and I'm just kind of curious here. If we go to our system properties, right-click on the Start button, head over to System, and we can verify the processor we have here. So this has 16 gigs of RAM. I thought it was supposed to be 32. I can't remember. I'll have to verify, but we have 16, and we are running Windows 11 Pro, and it is 23H2. These are all very good things, and it was installed. How was that possible? It was installed 8 days ago? I don't think so. That's bizarre. Not sure what that's about. So clearly it was installed prior to that, because it would take longer for the shipping. If they mailed it to me on the 16th of June, and it's only the 22nd of June, that's just 6 days ago. So maybe that's the first day I turned it on and set it aside. Very strange. I'm not quite sure I can trust that install date. In the meantime, let's take a quick look in the device manager and make sure everything looks happy before we download any updates, just to see that everything's properly assigned drivers, and it is, and that looks good. And our storage size, whoops, this one. What do we have for storage in this bad boy? 500 gig SSD. And can we see who makes it? Sometimes you can go to properties and hit the hardware tab, and it's made by Paladin, apparently. So once again, we're seeing the Paladin name for the second time. So apparently they brand their own SSDs, and I think we've seen this before. With that, I can go ahead and plug my internet connection in now that we've gotten through the user creation process as a local account. We'll watch that little globe down here on the bottom right, hopefully turn into a little computer monitor. That implies that we've connected to the internet. With the globe being the internet with the little circle and slash through it, that's telling us we have no internet connection. So with the little screen appearing now, we'll go to Windows Update. And it looks like the date and time have already fixed themselves that quickly. I'm going to turn that on. I'm going to check for updates. I'm going to come down to advanced options here, and I'm going to turn on this feature, and this feature. Then I want to go to get rid of this little icon down here. So I'm going to type search permission and history, scroll all the way to the bottom where it says more, turn that off, and then that little doodad goes away. And then the other thing I want to check is our power settings. So we'll type in edit, and then you'll see edit power plan comes up. And these are both set to never. So it won't go to sleep on us while we're broadcasting, which is what I'm trying to prevent. And that was already set good. I'm happy with that. So we'll go back to Windows Update, which even though we were doing other things, it was still running in the background, just in case you were concerned about that. And then one more time, now that it's found updates, we're going to check advanced options to see if there's any. Yeah, there's one available, one optional update here. Grab that. While we're at it, just do them all. So while that downloads and installs, I'm going to go back over to camera 1. And let's go full screen there on camera 1. And let's take a look at what you guys are asking or saying in the chat room and address any questions or concerns you have. This is the time for us to interact while my attention's on you and not on the machine or the technicalities of the broadcast. Luke Greenia joins us and says hello. Find me in Hawaii, so that's a great tip, Carey, and marking all of your power transformers. Yeah, ask me how I know to do that. Matt Toloff says hello. Frank Jimmy's saying hello to Doug Betts. Oh, Doug Betts has joined us. Live Windows training with Doug Betts. Right on. Good to see our friend Doug in there. There's John Svensson. Ray Gallagher wants to know, would these smaller units be good for mobile use, like trucks and deliveries? They could be. Bear in mind that you don't have a battery, you don't have a monitor or speakers or a keyboard or a mouse that you would with a laptop. So I have a friend that's a truck driver, and he prefers to use a laptop. But it really depends on your personal preference, whether or not you need the battery, whether or not you'd want a larger screen if you have room for it in the truck. Obviously, the truck power is going to power either one equally. And of course, you have to provide your own keyboard and mouse versus a laptop will already have that along with speakers. So at the end of the day, it's really up to you to decide if that'll be fine for what you would expect and what you would require. I am hearing a little bit of the fan. It was perfectly silent before now. It was weird because it wasn't like a fan noise. It was a very, very quiet, almost, how would I describe that? Almost like a chirp or a whine, but very, very subtle. Like I wasn't sure I was hearing it. That's how subtle it was. Come to realize that's the fan. So it's already gone away. It was just momentary. And of course, with my AC, my air conditioning running, which is going to be for the next few months with the heat that we're all experiencing, quite frankly, this or rain. In fact, we might get both here, like today or with the next couple of days. It certainly impacts how loud something may appear to be to me, as does my hearing range, right? The older we get, generally we start losing the range of hearing, normally 20 hertz, 20,000 hertz to 20 hertz. And as we get older, that higher end usually drops off. So if something's making a higher pitched whine, that might drive a younger person crazy. An older person may not hear anything at all. So depending on your individual sensitivity, it's something you have to, nobody can tell you if this is quiet. Depending on the environment, your distance from it, your sensitivity to it, it's something you have to figure out on your own. I would say it's really not a concern, because as long as you order from Amazon, you have 30 days to return anything you buy there from Amazon that's shipped from Amazon for free for any reason. You don't even have to give a reason. Just because I want to return it is a good enough excuse. Just make sure you put everything back in the box exactly the way you got it. Don't leave out anything. You know, the little plastic bags that comes in, that doesn't matter. But all the packing material, documentation, the screws, the power cable, if you don't return that, don't expect to get a refund or expect to have your refund reduced based on what it's going to cost to replace what you did not send back. And if you do get a full refund and you've kept pieces that you've been refunded for, that's effectively shoplifting. So if you want to live with yourself with that, the problem that I have with it is I like to buy a lot of returned items from Amazon to save money. And when I get a returned item that doesn't have everything in the box, I mean, it's not like the person who kept that stuff has any benefit from it. So if I were you, I would make sure you keep everything together until you decide if you're keeping the unit. If you're keeping the unit, you can go misplace it however you want. But if you're going to return the unit back, and I can't implore you enough not to be a thief and to put everything back in the box and expect to get a full refund 100%. And as long as you follow that very simple, logical, respectable courtesy, there's no risk involved. Ken wants to know if I would use my Windows 10 optimizer on this. I use my Windows 10 optimizer on all PCs, Windows 10 or 11. Yes. Techno NYC Key wants to know if I've heard of and will you be doing a review of the Minis Forum MSA1? I don't know. So Minis Forum sends me machines, and sometimes they don't tell me they're sending them to me. And I've let Minis Forum know I'm okay with that because I like everything they do. So I've made it clear they don't have to ask. They can just send. So sometimes a machine from Minis Forum shows up. I had no idea. The other day, we received one while I was live. And then a couple days later, they reached out and said, hey, we sent this to you. Please don't make a video on it yet. It's not available for sale yet, and we're not ready to go public with it. Okay, I'm glad to have it so that when they give me the green light, I can, be one of the first to showcase it. Now, I have seen other YouTube content creators ignore Minis Forum's request and do their review because they wanted to be first. And if I was Minis Forum, I would be really upset. Now, I just do this out of a courtesy. It's just common courtesy. They're not paying me. At the same time, I like their products. I like the variety. I like the uniqueness of their products. And I don't want to upset them because I want to continue to review more of their stuff. But they're not paying me, and I'm not paying them. So if they have a simple request like, hey, we could hold this back from shipping it to you, and then you could, review it weeks after it's been released, or we can ship it to you early. And then if there's anything that's going to hold back our availability of the unit, they don't want me showcasing it. So you guys get all excited to buy it. And then you're upset or disappointed it's not available because we did the review too early. So I think it's better for everybody, for Minis Forum, for you as the viewer, for me as the content creator, to avoid confusion or to upset people, to wait until the product is out. So any products you're reading about from Minis Forum that have not been released, we don't know. So Mark Gaines joins us from Northern Ireland and contributes £10 in Super Chat. Says hello, Carey and Mara and everyone in the chat. Thank you, Mark. Now you can see the RGB on the side, and if I hit this button, the RGB went completely off. I hit it again. Now it seems like it's fading into a light sky blue, fading out, fading back in. Doesn't seem like the color's changing. Let's tap it again. Now it just looks like it's staying blue. Let's tap it again. It's back off. Tap it again. Oh, I see. Now it's going to cycle through the colors. Now it's into a rainbow around the edges. Tap it again. I wonder if there's a way to... Seems like it just cycles through the light blue and the orange. And then it's rainbow, and in between it's off. And then this one where it fades. You know what? I kind of like the limited choices because I could spend hours wasting my time picking just the right color and whether or not I wanted to blink or breathe or shut it off altogether. So just the standard rainbow mode cycling around. The fewer choices is better, in my opinion. Mitch Heyman says, hello. Welcome in, Mitch. Mara wants me to turn the lights off so you guys can better see the RGB. All right, let's do that. Let me, first of all, I need to go to a wider view because I'm in a little window about yay big that I'm looking at so I can watch the chat. So when I do this, I can't see the chat anymore, except, of course, over here. Let's try that. Yeah, let's try that. We'll cut the lights in studio here. Okay, so there's your standard cycling rainbow colors. I'll tap the button, that shuts it off. Tap the button again. Now we're into like this light sky blue that appears to, I guess, be static. No, it's fading out and fades in, but it's not changing color. It sort of fades up to bright and then fades down to dark, but it stays that color of blue. Tap it again. Now it's just bright blue and it's not. Now I think it's static and it's not changing. Just highlighting like Tron. Same thing now, but orange. I don't know why those particular colors were selected. There doesn't seem to be any other buttons to control the RGB. Now it's doing a breathing where it cycles the colors and fades them in and fades them out. And we're back to the rainbow. Let me just try this one more time. So that turns it off. I think it said it had 7 color modes, didn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 would be off. I guess that's it. Lights on. Frank M joins us and says hello. There's Easy Otter and John Williams popping in there into the chat. I can hear the fan a little bit again. I would not, so with the air conditioner off now, I can hear it better. It's so I wouldn't describe it as a chirping. It's definitely a higher pitched fan noise when it spins up. It must be a smaller fan. We'll know when we open this up here when we're done. Let me take a quick look at our status and see how we're doing on our Windows update. Okay, it is installing. Very good. Jason Willis says he thinks that RGB is classy. It's not too much. It's just right. Yeah, and I like how you can easily turn it off. Steve Chappelle says, do you always have good luck buying products through Amazon Warehouse? It depends what the product is. When we were buying, we were trying to get some cheaper fans for the big beast build. And so we bought a bunch of Amazon Warehouse returns. And nearly all of them were ripoffs. where the purchaser, whoever bought the fan from Amazon, took the fan out of the box and put their old dusty, crappy piece of crap fan in the box, returned it to Amazon, and then apparently Amazon gave them a refund, never checked the box, listed it for sale as a used item, and then we bought it, only to discover nearly every single one of them we bought was stolen and replaced with a cheap, fraudulent, used knockoff. So in that regard, I won't buy any more used fans. I won't buy used or returned batteries because you just don't know how much they've been used or abused. But when it comes to electronics, motherboards, processors, RAM, solid state drives, again, when you're dealing with something that is a consumable item, so consumable is like a tank of gas. If you buy a used tank of gas, how much gas is left in the tank? And what's the condition of the gas? Has it gone stale? So this is a problem. It'd be like buying a used gallon of milk. How old is the milk? How did anybody put anything in it? So food items and things like that, Amazon does not resell unless they're completely sealed and it's not a refrigerated item. But batteries, solid state drives, anything consumable that has a limited lifespan, unless it's got a very appealing price tag, and even then, I make sure that the seller is Amazon warehouse. As long as it's coming from Amazon warehouse, just like anything else Amazon sells, you have a full 30-day return for any reason whatsoever. I've never had a return denied. I have returned dozens and dozens and dozens of things without any concern of Amazon saying you're returning too much. I've known people that say they don't like to return items because they're afraid Amazon might say, don't shop here anymore, you return too much. You got to return a lot on a regular basis. If you buy 5 items and you return 4 of them, then you buy 6 items and you return 4 of them, and then you buy 10 items and you return 9 of them, Amazon is going to say, you're costing us way too much money. We don't want you shopping here anymore. But if you're buying like I am, and I'm buying hundreds of items, and out of the hundreds, I might return 2 or 3, it doesn't matter if they're $1,500 each or $5 each. Amazon is happy to take them back. They want me, because ultimately they're making money from me. So they're okay with it. Don't hesitate to send anything back. Now, using that same logic, don't order 5 things that you think you might send them all back at the same time or within the same 30-day period. And the reason for that is it's going to make it look like you're pulling a scam or you're trying to cost Amazon money for the shipping to get to you and the shipping to get back. You can do that once or twice or 3 times, but if you do it too often and you do it with that great frequency, you're going to be banned from shopping there. They have to make a profit, and they can't do that. It's very rude, it's inconsiderate, it's thoughtless, it's selfish. It's something that no consumer should be treating any business, unless you're out for revenge and you want to hurt them. If you're looking to try something, then try it. If you're looking to try 10 things, try them one at a time. Don't order all 10 and then return all 9 or all 10. Now, there are some websites that are owned by Amazon where they actually encourage you to order more and return more. And that's usually involving clothing. So Zappos is owned by Amazon. Zappos is pretty much the only place I buy shoes anymore. I can get any shoe I want in any color I want, in any size I want, without having to drive around to 15 different stores during operational hours, find somebody to help me, see if they've got it in the back room. I'm done with that. So Zappos will say, you know what? Why don't you, they'll even suggest it. If you like these shoes, why don't you try these? And if they're unworn, you have 365 days to return them. What? Zappos is all about customer service. And one of the conditions that was made upon Amazon purchasing Zappos was that they would stay in Las Vegas, where they're based out of, that all their employees would keep their jobs, and that their customers would continue to get the same kind of service they've always expected from Zappos. And Amazon was like, fair deal. So Zappos still runs as an independent company that's owned by Amazon, and they actually encourage you to try things that you maybe wouldn't otherwise try, with the reassurance that you have 365 days, so long as you haven't worn them. In other words, you can try them on, But if you wear them around and so they get dirty or they start to expand from your foot, nobody wants that anymore. You've ruined it. So on the other hand, certainly within the first couple of weeks, probably the first 30 days, you try the shoes on, you walk around in them, you don't like them. So long as they still look like new, so long as they're resellable, no problem. You get a full refund. They pay for the shipping back. They have great customer service. I had a pair of shoes for a year and I wore them every day and the laces broke and I could not find the laces. And to me, the laces made the shoe. And they said, well, we can send you these laces. And I go, the laces don't match. The laces were the main reason I bought the shoes. Why can't I just buy the laces? Oh, those are made from another company and they're only made when the shoes are made, so they don't have any extras to sell. But I feel for you, so here's what we'll do. We'll send you another pair of those $200 shoes for free. I go, but I'm okay with the shoes. All I want's the laces. I understand. But we want to make sure you're happy. We want to make sure that you come back and shop with us again. So we're going to send you the exact same pair of shoes a year after you bought them. That'll come with those laces you want already attached. And in return, you send us your shoes that are all worn out and nasty. You send those back to us and we'll send them back as a defect so we won't eat it. Manufacturer will eat it. We're okay with it if you're okay with it. Okay. And then you know what I did after that phone call? I went on Zappos and spent $300 or $400 on more shoes because I was so happy with them. I wanted to definitely give them more business. And I wanted a spare set of shoes, if not two spares. So when this happens again, I'm not shoeless or I have to go with some ugly laces. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I would buy more shoes, but honestly, I haven't even gotten to the second or third pair of shoes I have for them. They're sitting in the closet. But these shoes I'm wearing now, the laces are about to break. They've all frayed. And I know any day now I'm gonna pull them to tighten them and it's gonna snap off in my hand. And at that point, these shoes are already worn in. They'll go in the trash can and I'll go to one of my new pair. And then from time to time, I'll look to see if the manufacturer I like, which is Hoka, I'll see if they have any new shoes that I wasn't aware came out. And if they look attractive and comfortable, I'll order them. So Zappos is now the only place I get shoes. I used to drive around from shoe store to shoe store. It used to take weeks to find a darn shoe. I'd find it and then they'd say, oh, we don't have that one in stock. Or the one that they have in my size is the display, but there's only one shoe. Where's the other shoe? We can't find it. Or I can't find anybody to help me. Or the store closed at some early hour and I'm just arriving after my work day to go shopping for shoes and the door's locked and there's nobody in there. And I've driven across town for no reason whatsoever. And then when I go back and make the same trip again and I go in there, they don't even have any shoes I want anyway. It absolutely has driven me nuts my whole life. Zappos has been the solution. Any shoe you want, any color you want, any size you want. There's a pretty good chance if Zappos doesn't have it, probably nobody does. But you can tell Zappos to send you an email when that shoe becomes available. Techno New York City Key with a $3.99 super chat. Thank you for that, Techno NYC Key. Badging Guy said he just got RoboForm. Oh, once you get used to RoboForm, you're going to wonder how you were living without it this whole time. Robert Kachina says, greetings from Slovenia. Welcome in, Robert. Good to have you here. Let me go back and see how we're doing on our updates. says we can restart now. So let's just go ahead and let's do that. Even though it's still doing an install, it'll continue that install during the restart here. Bikeman says, been using RoboForm since November, extended the subscription to 2026, and he's got a Cronus, just started using on all 3 systems. Yeah, I don't think you can find a better product or even a better price. Shane Perkins wants to know my opinion on YubiKeys. I don't know what YubiKeys is. Let's see. Peter VZ says hello, joins us from Amsterdam. Bajan Guy said he signed up for 3 years on RoboForm. I think I have 3 years on RoboForm too. It's not like I'm going to move my stuff over to somebody else. Pretty quiet chat out there right now. If you asked a question earlier and I didn't answer it, it's probably because I didn't see it. And in these times when I'm quiet, it's because I'm looking at the chat. That's the time to talk to me. So just so you know, when you're writing messages to me, when I'm talking, I may not see your message. And the delay between when I talk and when you hear me is only about 3 or 4 seconds. That's why we've got DVR mode turned off. It's driving me crazy, the number of people that are watching 10, 20, 30 minutes behind the video and are asking questions about things we've long since moved past. Do I still use GlarySoft? No, I haven't used GlarySoft in a very long time. I completely forgot about it. It's just not necessary anymore. The built-in tools in Windows 10 and 11 make GlarySoft redundant and therefore no longer provide any value for me. Or my business, I should say. Because my business represents customers of consumers and businesses alike for PC maintenance and repair and upgrade and new system sales. And when I tell you it offers nothing to me in my business, understand the scale of all the variety of different ways software helps me. And if I tell you Glary doesn't help me in any of those ways, well, I can't imagine that you're doing anything differently than what my customers require of me. And if I don't need it, you probably don't need it either. Sometimes, you know, if you've got an investment in something, let's say that you're a developer and you've sunk in all this money into Glary Utilities, and now your utilities redundant and unnecessary, you don't want customers to know that. Because now what are you going to do? Just flush your whole investment down the toilet? So programs like CCleaner and Glary Utilities, any of these system utilities, are almost 100% universally redundant and a waste of money. Driver update utilities are a waste of money, in my opinion. CCleaner, Glary, any system utility that you need that's actually beneficial, that will not cause any harm, is already built into Windows 10 and 11. Just download the Microsoft PC Manager, which is free. It's in the Microsoft Store, and that replaces all system utilities. Especially when the system utilities want to charge you, and then ultimately, sooner or later, they end up causing a corruption or an error on the PC because you cleaned it too aggressively. So just, if you're having a problem with your computer that you're trying to resolve, please come into our chat room when we're live and ask for help. But please do not install system utilities when your computer's running fine. It's one of the worst things you could possibly do. Third-party system utilities. If you want to run utilities to clean registry or to clean temp files, use the tools built into Windows to avoid any unnecessary damage or corruption. Otherwise, you're just asking for a system problem if you won't leave it alone. If all you're going to do is try and fix problems you don't have, you're going to end up with a problem you do have. So, and I'm okay with it. I mean, you're happy to pay me to fix it. I mean, I'm happy to take your money, but I'm also not happy that you self-inflicted for no reason an issue when you weren't having any problems. So I would think very carefully if the computer is a toy or if the computer is a tool. And if it's a toy, then throw it around and disrespect it like a novelty. If it's a tool, treat it with respect, because otherwise you're the one who's going to be miserable when you inflict damage upon it when you thought you were making it better, when there was nothing wrong with it to begin with to justify you messing with it in that way. That's my opinion. So I'm a terrible salesman. I should tell you, yeah, download these utilities, screw your computer up, and then pay me to fix it. That's what a good businessman would tell you. Jeff H says, hello from Oregon. Love these mini computers. Right on. Thank you, Jeff. Shane Perkins says, YubiKeys are hardware two-factor authentication devices that look like USB sticks. Yeah, I don't know anything about those. Okay, so I guess we don't need to keep staring at that. I can go back over to camera one. If you want to learn more about the Microsoft PC Manager, just type that into YouTube search. Especially if you look under my channel, you'll see I've already covered it. I use it myself. I set it to auto run, so there's really nothing I need to do. And on occasion, if I'm bored, and it seems like I can't remember the last time I ran it, I'll just run it for the heck of it. It doesn't hurt anything. Again, while we're waiting for updates, a great time to ask any questions. If you have them, this is the time. We do answer questions during live videos, not necessarily after live videos. Unless you're a paying member, that's a different story. Again, a thank you to our paying members that keep us from becoming corporate spokespeople, making commercials that corporations want us to make on products they want us to expose you to, regardless of my personal interest. I don't want to sell myself out like that. I hear it pays really well. I don't do this for the money. I do need money to pay the bills, but as long as I'm covered on the bills, that's what's important. Anything above and beyond that is just extra gluttony. I don't need it. I don't know that it's healthy, so I don't really pursue it. I joke around about it a lot. The idea of having an abundance of money sounds very appealing, but I also know all the headaches and nightmares that people I've known with money have that I would rather be without, quite honestly. I wouldn't even get into it, but I'm not going to turn it away if it happens, but I'm also not chasing it like it's the most important thing in my life. So for that reason, I can push away those very, very lucrative offers from companies to act as their spokesman, unless certain conditions are met, which none of them have been okay with. So the only way this works with direct honesty and for me to have the control I want is for us to buy the products or for companies to send the products for free with no strings attached. If we're not doing that, then you're not watching a review, you are watching a commercial. If anybody claims to be reviewing a product and in the same video or in the video notes acknowledge that they were paid in some way compensated other than the product, that is not a review. The minute you accept compensation for anything, like we'll give you a few bucks if you air this, put this at the top of your list, put us to the front of the line, no longer a review anymore. You've now been paid, you've now received compensation. And you know in your mind, if you piss them off, they're not going to offer that to you again. And chances are you're going to want that money again. So if you never had it to begin with, you won't miss it and it won't impact your review. That way your review is honest without consequence of positive or negative. If I like the product, I like it. If I don't like the product, I don't like it. If the company doesn't want to send me any more free product, I don't care. And if they do, well, that's great too. Either way, my reviews are never meant to hurt anybody. They're only meant to be honest and to help a company identify from a perspective of a computer technician with decades of experience what I think they've got right and what I think they could improve on. It's only meant for the betterment of everyone and to set expectations to anybody considering buying it, where the benefits that I see and the downsides that I see. And it's just my perspective. It's a review coming from somebody in the industry. Alhaj posts a link for the PC Manager. Yeah, you can just open up, you can just go down to your start menu and type in PC Manager. So for example, if we go over to this PC where we're putting updates in, just to show you, you don't have to go to links anymore for a lot of this stuff. Remember, everything's evolving very, very quickly. So things are changing rapidly. So if we go down here and just type in PC Manager, you'll see a couple of options here. And if I click on this first one, it's going to search for PC Manager, which starts up our browser. I'm going to say start without my data. I got to go through this nonsense with Edge. And you'll see PC Manager for Windows 11, just this giant big, there's also one here that says download. Okay, just hit that button. It's going to automatically bring you into the Microsoft Store. You don't have to have a Microsoft account. And just hit the download button. This site is trying to open Microsoft Store. Yeah, go ahead and open it. Microsoft Store starts. We hit the Get button. This is a very different process from downloading a compressed file, having to uncompress it. This does everything for you, and this is the direction Microsoft wants everything to go. From Adobe's products to Microsoft Office, they don't want you to download files anymore. They want to control it through the store. And you're going to see this more and more and more. This is not a very big file, so even though my internet connection is relatively slow, it will be not that long for it to download and then install. We don't have to go through a bunch of check boxes and license agreements. It's just a very, it's a much smoother install process. It assures you're getting the right version, not an old version that needs to be updated. This is a much smarter way to get software installed, in my opinion. I'm not opposed to this at all, unless I needed a Microsoft account. But at this point, as you can see, we don't need a Microsoft account for this. Now remember, we're downloading updates in the background. So this download is taking a bit longer than I thought it would, but we're multitasking at this time. And my internet connection is very slow. So don't blame the PC for that. Steve Chappelle says, why is this new mini PC not coming with Wi-Fi 7 or 6E? That's not a question I can answer. That wasn't my decision, but I can. What Wi-Fi do you have at your house right now? What is the make and model of router that you have? Let's go ahead and hit open. And we can go ahead and close these windows while that launches. Yeah, welcome to Microsoft PC Manager. Start automatically when I log into Windows. Yes, we want that checked. Hit start. I'm going to say not now on this option here. And this will tell us the status of our memory usage and our temporary files. I'll hit the boost button. That's going to zero everything out and clear out things in memory that aren't being used. And then I'll set Smart Boost, and we're going to turn that on. And then I close it out. I'm all done. From this point forward, it's going to run automatically. I don't have to monitor it. We're done. I do like to see it down here in the system tray just to remind me that it's there. So I can go to taskbar settings, and I usually turn this stuff off. That's a personal preference. And I'll go to other system tray icons, and I'll turn off Microsoft OneDrive because I don't use it. I want to see the security status of our antivirus. I want to see the Bluetooth status. I want to see the Microsoft PC Manager that we just installed. It's always been there, but it's hidden behind this button. Now, it used to be that you tap that button and then this little box would go away. Now with the latest Windows updates, you have to tap the button again to make those hidden items go away. That's a good change. I like that. I can also now see that there's attention required on this. And when it was hidden, I didn't know that. I think it's really dumb to hide this. We're going to dismiss this and we're going to dismiss this because they're not important. We will turn on app and browser control and device security. Right now, I'm going to dismiss that because it's not an issue at this time. Now, if security and it probably will change with the types of exploits and hacking. We might want to turn that on when the hackers start using it. But right now, if that's being used in hacking exploits, it's very uncommon at this point, so I'm not going to be bothered to turn it on. That choice is yours to make, not for me to make. It's for me to make on my PCs and my customers' PCs that pay me, and it's for you to make on your computers and the ones that you will suffer the consequences of, one way or the other. That's why it's important you accept responsibility for the decisions you make. Don't blame somebody else for what you did. They told me to do it. Yeah, well, you listened to them, so whose fault is that? Jack Kugelman says, Carey, you don't seem to mind having a slow internet connection. I don't have a choice. Studio B does not belong to me. None of the utilities are in my name, and I have no authority to change them. If I want to be able to broadcast from Studio B, this is what I have to work with. That will change in Studio C, but it's not an option. It's a take it or leave it. So we're doing what we can with what we have because it's better than the alternative until Studio C is ready. But it's not a choice. Some people are so fixated about the latest version of something, it doesn't even occur to them whether or not that would apply to their needs. In other words, let's talk about Wi-Fi 6, 6E, and Wi-Fi 7. Wi-Fi 6E and Wi-Fi 7 may not be allowed in the country you live in because it uses a 6 gigahertz band. 6 gigahertz has been outlawed in some European countries. For that reason, you cannot have it. So the other thing is Wi-Fi 6E and Wi-Fi 7 on the 6 gigahertz band have a very short range and only improve the speed of the data on your network, but not on your internet. You'll see no benefit in any other way. You don't get better range, you get lesser range. But within that lesser range on that 6 gigahertz bandwidth, if it's allowed in your country and you're transferring large files in your home or in your office from one computer to another, that's the only time you'll ever see that speed increase. And that assumes you've got a $600 plus router that supports that. And both computers on your network are 6E or 7. If anything falls below that, then it drops to whatever the slowest one is between communication of those three devices: the sending unit, the router, the receiving unit. Now, if you have other devices that are older versions of Wi-Fi, but you're not communicating with them directly, in other words, if I wanted to send a file from this to a computer from 10 years ago, then the speed will be of whatever the computer from 10 years ago can handle. That'll be the slowest. The router won't be slow. This computer won't be slow. That computer will be slow. If you get on the freeway in your Ferrari, you cannot go faster than the car in front of you. I don't care what the Ferrari can do. And if there's inclement weather or road conditions, like you're going off-road, that Ferrari ain't going to seem so fast no more. So if you have the money and you can justify the need for the 6 gigahertz band, all the power to you. But how many people that own computers around the world do you think transfer files from one computer to another and do so often in files so large that they're willing to drop big cash on an expensive router and upgrade the Wi-Fi on all their devices? Give me a number. What do you think percentage-wise? How many people would actually see a benefit from that, knowing your internet speed will not change? And that's probably, when you answer that question, I think you'll be answering why this does not come with 6E or 7. Also, keep in mind these are made in China, I believe China or Taiwan or Hong Kong, and they're sold all around the world. So what's the point of paying for Wi-Fi 6E or 7 where it's outlawed in your country? But hey, it's the latest, so why doesn't it have the latest? Because the latest isn't better for everybody. The latest is only better for a small percentage. And that's true of almost everything, honestly. Do you need to buy a car from 2024 because it has a feature your 2023 car doesn't have? Do you need to have the latest and greatest of anything? Unless what you've got is several years old, it's probably a first world problem that you have that kind of money and such minor little things matter enough to you that you can afford to completely replace it. I don't think that represents the majority of the financial situation of most people. So if there is a value there where it's worth it, ultimately that's for each individual to decide. But generally speaking, most people will see no benefit from 6E or 7. They won't know any difference. So I don't care if this has 6E or 7. As long as it's got Wi-Fi 5 at a minimum, it's fine, in my opinion. I don't know anybody who needs more than Wi-Fi 5. Or let me rephrase. I know people who would like it, but it really doesn't make a difference if something takes 2 seconds longer to transfer a file. And most customers aren't transferring files that big when they do transfer. So most customers don't transfer files, and the customers that do are usually moving PDF files, Word documents. It's work. They're not moving big movies. Like I have these big videos I move. And even then, what am I doing that 3 times a week? Every time I broadcast 3-4 times a week. So it's important to me that when I transfer that file to my NAS, the NAS isn't going to go any faster based on the speed of the drives in the NAS. It's pointless. Got me started on a squirrel. All right, let's go back over and see how we're doing. Did that finish up over there? Yes. Let's restart it. Okay, so while that updates, go back over to camera 1 here for a minute. So I suppose we can run Crystal Disk Mark on this, and then we'll run Cinebench R23 with temperature monitoring. And I think that'll be the end for today's review. So far, look, first of all, I want you to keep in mind we're at a $400 price point. This is not a flagship machine, and this is not a budget entry-level machine. This is right down the middle. I am always the biggest fan of the middle. The low-end stuff, you're going to replace it sooner, and it's not worth fixing. It's disposable e-waste when you buy the cheap stuff. And if that's all you need to get you by for a short period of time, fine. But if you think that's going to last you 8 years, you are going to be in a world of hurt. If you look on Reddit for the people who ask for PC help the most, it is laptop owners. It is people who opened their machine to do something stupid that didn't, in my opinion, did not need to be done. I was just going to replace my thermal compound. I was just going to dust it out. I was just going to do something completely unnecessary, and then I broke it, and now I need help. So they either have an old machine, they've caused a self-inflicted injury on their PC because they were bored, and now they're desperate. They're practically in tears asking for help on Reddit. If it was that important to you, why did you disrespect it in such a manner? And then the third, what's the third most common? Old and laptop and self-inflicted, and sometimes all three. If you look under PC repair Reddit on Google, 90+%, 98% of the help requests come from those 3 categories. So if you're the person who can least afford to replace your computer, don't try and fix it if it isn't broken. And before you decide what the fix is, unless you're a technician, find a reputable source and ask what you should do about it before you've broken it. And now you ask how you can fix it. And you're going to find out in many cases, the fix is to take it to a repair shop or to replace it. And replacing it is often going to be cheaper. But you did it to yourself. So the only one you have to blame is you. You should have left it alone if you're in that financial situation and if the computer is that important to you. If the computer's a toy and you just want the learning experience, have at it. But then I shouldn't see you crying and having an anxiety attack on your Reddit post asking for help. It's totally self-inflicted, 100% avoidable, and just bad decision making. And it only affects you. It has no effect on me or anybody else. So you make your bed, you lie in it. Just set your expectations accordingly and then proceed as you think is best. If you're okay with it, I'm okay with it. Peter VZ with a €1 contribution in Super Chat. Thank you, Peter. Matt Solov said he found a smart mounting kit on Amazon for my old Noctua cooler, which was an LGA 1150. It made it possible to use it on an LGA 1700. Cool. Okay, so where are we at on this? We've booted. We'll check for updates one more time. Check for updates. And then I'll check for advanced options here. 0 available. Good. All right. So this is just a Windows antivirus update. This is nothing. It won't require a reboot. It won't take much time to download it. Let me grab my system utilities flash drive and let me plug that into the front where I have faster USB ports, and we'll copy over my utilities here for Crystal Disk Mark and Cinebench, hardware info. Oh yeah, we'll grab Uncle Carey's Windows 10 Optimizer. I like to install VLC to play videos and music, and I uninstall Windows Movies and TV and Media Player because I don't like the limited compatibility limitations that it has. If VLC won't play what I'm trying to play, then what I'm trying to play is probably dangerous. And that's a big warning to find another source for whatever that song or video is. That one, if VLC won't play it, is probably infected and it's saving you. Don't force it to play. Whereas with Microsoft Media Player, it may not play it simply because it just doesn't have the availability of playing that particular compression. And I think that sucks because otherwise there's nothing wrong with the file. So we also want to have under PC testing software, R23, and we can pull CPU-Z off of there, and Crystal Disk Mark off of there, and HW hardware info as well. Perfect. Close that out. Finish that. Continue. Close. I'll run Uncle Carey's on this real quick, and then we'll reboot it, start our testing. Now, just to get back to earlier, if you're somebody who likes to tinker around, go to Goodwill and go buy yourself a cheap computer and use that as your toy. Take what you've learned and then apply it to your new machine or your newer machine that you count on, or don't. If you've got to get that out of your system, get it out with some system that's a novelty. Do not use a tool as a toy. And if you do, accept that you did that to yourself voluntarily and it's nobody's fault but your own. That's all I'm trying to say. Accept responsibility. All right, now we reboot, and as soon as we get back to the desktop, let's go ahead and I'll eject my flash drive and we'll start Crystal Disk Mark first. So before VLC, it was mostly just music playing that I needed an app for, and nothing, and I mean nothing, was ever better than Winamp. And yes, I saw the guy building the little Winamp Raspberry Pi box that looks like a stereo. It's pretty darn cool. If I could buy one, I'd buy one, but it's just a DIY project that he did. All right, let's go ahead and remove the flash drive. Now see, I don't have the removal option down here. It's hidden. I don't want it hidden, and it doesn't offer it until I have something plugged in. So with my flash drive plugged in, safely remove and eject is what I want visible. Now I don't have to do that extra click. We just go here, eject it. And you really don't need to eject flash drives anymore before pulling them out. On Windows 10 and 11, they're automatically set to go into a standby mode if you're not reading or writing to it. But I just, sometimes I'm a little more cautious and sometimes I'm a little more carefree. So you will inconsistently see me eject them safely and just yank them right out. And either way, I've never had any problems. So I can't really tell you one's better than the other. I've had no problems either way. I'd say the worst problem is it won't eject. It says it's in use when I know damn well it isn't. And then I just pull it out anyway. And again, I've never had any corrupted files or broken any flash drives or anything because I've done that. All right, so we're running Crystal Disk Mark. Wow, okay. You don't normally see numbers that big on these pre-builds. That's obviously a Gen 4, and that's right at the peak of about what Gen 4 can deliver on reads, sequential read speeds. We can get up to about 7,300, 7,400 on the most expensive Gen 4 drives. So to be at 7,000 on the drive that comes with this, I'm surprised and impressed, despite the fact that in reality it makes very little difference in how long your computer takes to boot or how long programs take to load. The difference it makes is in milliseconds. But we get caught up in benchmark numbers versus reality. And at the end of the day, it really matters how it feels. Benchmarks cannot measure feelings. So if it feels slow to you, regardless of what the benchmarks say, you're not wrong. And if it feels fast to you, even if the benchmarks say it's not, you're also not wrong. Benchmarks are a synthetic representation that may not be purely honest. We don't really know. And they have a psychological placebo effect on most individuals to assert happiness based on the information they provide, despite reality. It is a very bizarre human psychological condition that exists like an infection in this industry, that people will chase benchmarks and spend money over benchmarks when the reality suggests otherwise. Meaning the reality may result in a machine that has very little difference in performance and very little difference in reliability that a human being can detect. You're also assuming the benchmarking software is accurate, that it has not been skewed, whether purposefully or not. We've seen instances of that in the past with GPU benchmarks and even CPU benchmarks, where they've been paid off to highlight one manufacturer over another. So we don't know when that's happening. We only find out about it afterwards. But how you feel about it, how you honestly feel, if you take all the bogus benchmark numbers out of it, if it feels fast to you or it feels slow to you, it shouldn't be based on numbers. It should be based on feelings. And when you can find me a benchmark that can benchmark your feelings, please bring it to my attention, because that benchmark will actually matter. Ella Linda says that is the high end of Gen 4 NVMe. That is correct. Scott says, I thought about updating the firmware on my old router, but I don't think it'll improve anything. Maybe more harm than good. Security, maybe. When it comes to router firmwares, especially Wi-Fi routers, I think it's critical that you update them, primarily for security, but also for reliability. My TP-Link router was dropping connections, and it started happening after the latest firmware update. And I thought maybe my TP-Link router was starting to die because it was happening a lot. And then I saw a new firmware update come out for it, and I've applied it, and it looks like it's fixed the dropping that I was having. So I kind of invited a problem by putting that firmware update on. But sometimes the firmware update adds features like the TP-Link mesh. Initially, this router did not have that built into it. It was added later during firmware. So you may get new features. You'll almost always have better security, and it may improve something. It could make something worse. But when we talk about security, I would rather be preventive than reactive. I'd rather be proactive and prevent whatever that security update fixes that have a security problem that I then have to update as a response. But, you know, that's a router. That's a very serious item. For me, anything that has an update that's like the Internet of Things, if it's a Wi-Fi camera thermostat, if it's a garage door opener, a smart garage door opener, if it's a television or my phone, if it's a Fire Stick, if it wants an update, absolutely, you should make sure you have the latest update on those things. If you have a modem provided by your ISP, the ISP updates your modem automatically. And if your modem is also a router, it's all one box, but you're renting it from your ISP is the only one who can update that, and they do it remotely. You'll never even know they did it. And they only do it if it's necessary, because they don't want the risk of having customers have unsuccessful updates for some reason. All right, let's save these results. These are really, really impressive results. Save that as a JPEG, and we will put that on the desktop. Okay, let's bring up hardware info. Let's get that kicked off. Sensors only. Cinebench. That. This up like so. Drag it over to the right. And we're going to go to temperatures. Or temperatures is what I want to expand. So we're in the 30-degree, upper 30s, 40 degrees Celsius at normal idle desktop. So let's go ahead and start Cinebench R20. Oops. See, now that got rid of it from the taskbar and it put it over in the system tray, which is hidden. Hate that. Come back here. Come over here this time. Now we'll run Cinebench. Accept. Start. This will heat up that CPU for 10 minutes and then run the multi-core test. And we'll keep an eye over here on the right side for our maximum row, just to see how hot this gets. Now, the first minute of Cinebench R23 warm-up is going to get this pretty much as hot as it's ever going to get. And in the other 9 minutes, it probably won't go any higher than whatever we see in the first minute. The fan on this unit, it must be a smaller fan. Maybe I'm hearing the CPU fan on top. Because when it's working really hard, you can definitely hear the fan. You don't have to talk over it. It's not that loud, but it's definitely, you know, something electronic is on. And again, depending on how your room is laid out, how sensitive your hearing is, how far you are from it, where it's located in the room, what's in front of it. You know, if you've got it mounted behind a monitor, perhaps you wouldn't hear it as much. I wouldn't say it's annoying. It certainly lets you know that it's working. So it's a little reassuring. If I don't hear the fan ramping up, then I wonder if, in fact, it's ramping up. So I do want to hear some fan noise when my CPU is under stress. And if I hear that fan noise constantly, meaning my CPU is under stress constantly, that would suggest that either something is wrong with the unit or I have underpurchased for my needs. So if you're constantly stressing out your CPU and your fans are always running high, either you didn't install it correctly or you're using a machine in a way it wasn't designed to be used. You underpurchased. And that's okay, but if the fan noise drives you crazy, then you needed to spend more on a better, higher end machine for the way you're using your computer so that what you're utilizing isn't being maxed out all the time. You bought something too low end and you're using it as a high end. And as a result, that low end machine has to really, really work. And if it's doing that constantly and it's driving you crazy, there's a good chance you underpurchased. You just didn't spend enough money and you're expecting too much in exchange for too little. So I would put that on the user, not necessarily on the device. Now, as long as it's only ramping up occasionally, that's normal, and I absolutely expect that. So during the Cinebench test for 10 minutes, we're going to hear that fan. That's normal, but I shouldn't hear it for 8 hours a day. Okay, let me go back over to camera 1 while this runs. Oh, hold on a minute. I wasn't looking at my temps. Let me take a quick look before I switch over. What's my maximum here? Oh, 81. That's all we've hit. That's fantastic. And we have hit a maximum for 4,390 megahertz. That brings us right to 4.4, which is where it's supposed to ramp to. Everything is working as it should. So far, so good. It looks good, sounds good, it's performing good, and it's $400. I don't know what else you want. Like if that's not enough for you, you must be a very difficult person to please. I don't know. I think that's a very reasonable, it's more than reasonable. For everything you're getting for $400, if it was any better, it'd be too good to be true. And I would think there's got to be something. There's got to be a trap here. And when you pick this up, this is one of the heaviest mini PCs I've ever lifted. So that implies to me it's built well. I don't know why it's so heavy. We'd have to open it up and look. Maybe it's heat sinks. I don't know. So I could easily see this being $500 to $600 based on the performance and based on how heavy it is and the RGB. The minute you throw RGB on it, you can charge an extra $50 because people will pay it. So honestly, I'm very impressed. This is not the best mini PC you can buy because it would cost you a lot more money. And I've said this before, but things keep changing. This, instead of being the best mini PC you can buy, it may be category. How do I say this? There's the best that money can buy, and then there's the best you can get for the amount of money that you're spending. And if you're pricing and comparing this against other $400 mini PCs, and you're aware of a machine that's better than this, in other words, it's got a better processor, more RAM, bigger SSD, at this price or less, then please send me the link, because I don't think such a thing exists. Today, June 22nd, 2024. Someone's going to watch this 5 years from now and say, what drugs are you on? What drugs are you on? You're watching a 4-year-old video, you know? But yes, I am definitely hearing that fan. It's like a high-end, it's not a buzz. I wonder if I can turn the filter on the audio off momentarily. Very difficult to describe it. I don't find it annoying. And then the further away. And remember, my air conditioner is running, and it's hard to discern, I imagine, what you're hearing is the AC versus the fan. Now, I can't hear that myself without creating an audio feedback loop unless I have headphones on. However, that should give you some idea. Freeman said it's a buzz. It's close to a buzz, like a higher pitched buzz. But it also still sounds like a fan, like a smaller fan, spinning faster. Bigger fans can move more air at slower speeds, and so they're quieter. If this had a big fan right here, such as what we've seen on the Cyberpunk PC, it would probably still cool it just as well. It'd have to be a little bit thicker, but then that noise would completely go away. Again, I'm reassured when the computer is in overdrive. I want to hear it in overdrive, and it should not be in overdrive all the time. If it is, you underpurchased. You should have bought something more powerful if that's how you're using it regularly. But for just momentary, a few seconds or a few moments while it's processing something intensely, some resource intensive app, I want to hear that. Scott says it sounds like it's rubbing on something. It kind of does. It kind of makes me wonder if maybe something happened in shipping, because normally you'd only hear the fan whoosh. You wouldn't hear it. It's almost like it's rubbing. It's hard to know because I don't really have anything to compare it to, except I suppose we could pull the other Paladin out for noise comparison, but because they're different CPUs, I don't know how accurate of a test that'll be. And I'm not going to open this side of it. The side that we open is the bottom. That's where we access RAMs, their storage, and a Wi-Fi card. To get it any deeper than that, if you had purchased one of these, and if you found that you did not like the sound, as long as you bought it from Amazon, return it back with everything that you got, and you'll get a full refund for it. It doesn't bother me. If I had to talk over it, it would bother me. It's not that loud. Not in my opinion, I should state. Okay, how are we doing over here? Get about 10 more seconds left of this test, and then the benchmark will start. Maximum temp is still 81. That is incredibly low, with the entire CPU package hitting a max of 82. Okay, so our countdown on the upper left reached 0. That means the warm-up is done. And as soon as it's finished with this render, the next one it does is the actual benchmark. When that completes, we'll do the single core. That might heat it up a bit more, and it'll warm up for 10 minutes before its benchmark run. So there's the final. Okay, so that's our final 9,030 points on the multi-core. And without much waste of time, let's hurry up and get this single core started. And then back over to hardware info. And we'll keep an eye, again, on that first minute. That's really where it's going to heat up the most. And so far, it's hasn't heated up much. Now, of course, single core, everything's going to run slower on a render. But we're not trying to do a certain number of renders. We're just trying to run it for 10 minutes, regardless of what it actually gets done. And then we run the benchmark once it's all nice and toasty. And then we'll get a final Cinebench R23 score at the end of those 10 minutes. So with that happening, one more time, let me go back to camera 1 and address any questions or concerns. And once again, I do like to keep these at 2 hours or less. Hopefully we'll have some time to at very least open the bottom and take a look. But the fan that we're hearing is up here. Gio says, happy 56th birthday tomorrow. Thank you, Gio. I appreciate that. Ray Gallagher says reality. What a concept. Wasn't that a title of a Robin Williams album? Some things never change, huh? What people used to complain about with regards to the behavior of society in 40 years hasn't changed, I guess. Mats Olaf says, happy to you. Well, thank you, Mats Olaf. I would rather not turn another year older. Nothing wrong with getting older. It's certainly better than not getting older. And I certainly don't want to be a dumb teenager for my whole life. We tend to celebrate youth and try and look young, and I think it's stupid. I think that we should embrace and cherish our wisdom through life experience and the fact that we have overcome all of the obstacles that the decades have thrown against us as we've grown up. Therefore, those that are older should be respected and revered because they've been through hell and they're survivors. The problem is that number creeping up to a bigger number means the numbers ahead are fewer. So when you reach a point in your life where you know you've got fewer years ahead of you than you've got behind you, it's kind of sad. On the other hand, everybody gets a turn. And as one door closes, it opens the door for somebody else to have a turn. So this is how nature works, and this is how we evolve. Because if we still had people alive from the 1700s, they would be out there protesting automobiles and technology as witchcraft and as dangerous, and they would be preventing or holding back the evolution of society. And so I feel that the reason why things come and go through nature is to encourage and promote evolution. And I accept that because, well, number one, you don't have a choice. But number two, it makes sense to me. So the sad part, of course, is seeing that number get bigger. And then the happy part is knowing how many people never made it to that number. So we've lost a lot of celebrities, even just this year. You talk about somebody who left us way too soon, whether we talk about Heath Ledger, River Phoenix, so many, more than I can name. Then you think, you know, maybe you're lucky, maybe, that you got to suffer a little longer. What a terrible attitude, I know. But anyway, yeah, thanks for the reminder. Peter VZ with a €1 contribution. Thank you, Peter, as always. That's Olaf says, Carey, calculate in only 18 with 52 years of life experience. What would that make you, 70? I think that it's really just attitude. A lot of teenagers have a really bad attitude, and they're dumb because they don't really know any better. They don't have enough life experience yet. But don't try telling them that. You likely won't be successful. But on the other hand, not all of those 18-year-olds today are going to live to be 56, unfortunately, regardless, through maybe even no fault of their own. Sometimes just wrong place, wrong time. So it's just a combination of surviving and luck. Let me go back and see how we're doing over here. Go full screen so I can read it. Yeah, we haven't broken 81. That's incredible. But it is an i5. Remember, it's not an i7 or an i9. It's not a Ryzen 9. You know, for an i5, we don't normally see heat-related problems. So not only do you pay less for an i5, you don't have the heat issues potentially that come with the higher-end CPUs that cost more. Ray Gallagher said he's 62 years old and he's almost died twice. He's fighting every step. Oh, I've come face to face with death a couple of times. The benefit for me is that I don't fear it anymore. At the same time, you don't have any real control over it. When it's time, and that's fine. You know, we just try to, in my opinion, don't take cuts in line. Don't do it to yourself. When nature decides, don't argue with it. I mean, you can if you want to, but it's probably pointless. And don't rush it along either. Just accept and try and enjoy the ride. All right, now we got 2.5 minutes left of this warm up, and the benchmark will start. And then hopefully we'll have some time left over. We can turn this bad boy over and see if it's a boy or a girl. John Williams says, happy birthday. Thank you, John. And Bajingai. Mark Stump wants to know if they make a version of this with 32 gigs and an i7. So remember when we started the video, we talked about the HA4, the HO4, the WO. They have some very similar models. So if we go to, I don't know, we go to their website, let's say, and I don't know how many models Trycoo offers over Paladin, but just to look and see, we can go back to Trycoo's website here, since we're just kind of biding our time anyway. It's something to do. And then we can take a look at what products they have right here. So they have W series and H series. I don't know what the W stands for. And I don't know how these are sorted with regards to performance and pricing. It looks like it's pretty low end on the bottom and higher end here with a 5700U. And then if we go to the H series, which is what we're working with today, this has 32 gigs. This is the HA4. We're using the H04 today. Now the H04 may come with different configurations. I don't know. Let's see. I don't know if you can customize it or, you know, it doesn't seem to be available bare bones, unfortunately. Yeah, it looks like it's just already going to come the way it's outfitted. But that says 32 gigs of RAM, and we only saw 16. So I'm wondering if we're missing a RAM module or a RAM module is not working. We're going to have to open it up and look. But yeah, feel free to visit the website and see what's available. And then if you're interested in something a little higher end, like an i7, I imagine an HA4 is higher end than an HA3. I'm guessing. I don't know. These are pretty cool looking. I kind of like the color scheme here. This is a Ryzen 7 7735. Those both the same? Yep. HA2 is going to be lower end, right? Ryzen 7 5800. Yep. So I imagine the lower that number is, the lower the processor is in it. Now the difference between the HA and the HO, maybe that's AMD and the HO is Intel. I don't know. I'm guessing. And certainly there are other brands to consider if this one's not offering the configuration you want. And Patrick Manny says happy birthday to me. Thank you, Patrick. Kevin Doan. Appreciate you guys. Raymond wants to know, how do I get notifications when you start the live stream? When you hit the subscribe button underneath the video, there's a picture of a bell. You click on that bell and those notification options are there for you to select which one you prefer. And the bell only appears after you subscribe. So you cannot subscribe unless you create a free YouTube account, which apparently you have, or you wouldn't be able to have to join us in the chat room. So you create your account, visit the channels, or subscribe rather to the channels you want to watch more of, and hit that bell icon, which kind of looks like, yeah, there's the thumbs up, there's your subscribe, and then there's the bell. When you click the bell, there'll be an option for if you want to be notified on all videos or some videos. And then under your YouTube settings, you choose how you want to be notified. So it's already defaulted to something. I can't tell you what you set it to or what the default is. You'd have to go into your YouTube settings of your account settings and then look at what your notification options are there, and whether it's email or a pop-up on the app, etc. Back over here, how we doing? Okay, looks like it's just going to finish this last render and then it'll run the test for us. So whenever this is finished, then it'll run the benchmark and we'll get a number, and then we'll be done with Cinebench, and our temp, max temp, still 81, hasn't gone any hotter. That's fantastic. Honestly, I stopped hearing the fan, but now I just realized the fan is still running and I still hear it, but somehow in just that short period of time, I've already tuned it out. So it's not that distracting. For me, anyway. Got to find my glasses. Tom Jackson, Mark Gaines, thank you guys for the happy birthdays. David Martinez. And Gerald Wallace, thank you guys. D Manor says a year has passed. Congratulations to you, Carey. It's another spin around the sun, man. Just feel like I'm going around in circles. Are mini PCs good for building home lab for virtualization and clustering? Well, you're on the wrong channel for that, because we're not here to discuss such niche things that apply to so few people in society. There are YouTube channels that are dedicated to home lab that you would probably, if that's your main interest, you probably won't see a whole lot that is appealing to you here. What we're trying to do here is represent the real world work that people hire me for, which includes repairs, upgrades, building new PCs, and providing PCs that are pre-built, like mini PCs that I can't build, and evaluating whether or not that's something I would sell to a customer, something I'd be willing to support. And it represents the vast majority of PC owners, because without them, I would not have a business. I don't have a single home lab customer, not one. For that reason, I would not have a YouTube channel, because there'd be no way to generate any revenue from it. And it would not be something I could finance as a charity, spending thousands and thousands of dollars of creating content for a very small audience that wouldn't find much appeal. If I'm a home lab user and I'm making some videos for fun, there'd be no consistency and no sponsorship, and therefore the videos would be infrequent. So in order to run a sustainable business model, I have started a YouTube channel that's an extension of my real life business, to talk about what's going on in my business, with the hopes that the majority of people will be impacted or benefit from this information. Well, the niches will always have their niches. I'm not that, just so you know. I have no intention to ever be that. I can't find that sustainable. That's just playing. And as I'm self-employed, I don't really have a lot of time to play. Every minute I'm not working, I'm not making money. And if I'm not making money, I worry if I'll be able to make the bills at the end of the month. That's the joy of being self-employed. There's no regular paycheck. I've never paid twice the same. Okay, so that's why, just so you know. David wants to know, are there going to be any birthday builds? No, the financial situation is such that I can't afford it and I don't need it. This is about as close to a birthday build, and that was done a few months ago. And I can't see me outdoing that. Even now, if I had an unlimited budget, I don't think I can outdo that currently. So no birthday bill. Ben Laird said there's a Ryzen 7 version on Amazon UK of this for £552. There you go. Ian Gooch, thank you for the happy birthday. And Bradley Morrison, Zero Core, Gil Garcia, all of you, thank you. And hopefully our benchmark is done. Let's take a quick look. Because I should hear that fan quiet down once this is done. Yeah, we have a score of 1606. Look at how that compares with just a previous generation i7. Isn't that incredible? Just one generation. And look how many more cores and threads we have on a 12th Gen i5 versus an 11th Gen i7. Clearly, the 12th Gen i5 is superior to an 11th Gen i7. Evolution, love it. Yeah, our temps are back down into the 30s now. Upper 30s, low 40s. I'm still hearing the fan. Which is surprising. I'm going to go ahead and close all this out and shut it down so we can open it up real quick. I'm sure when I shut it down, it's going to get real quiet. It better. Yeah. Well, now that the fan noise is gone, I certainly notice it now. So let's go ahead and just unplug everything from the back. And let's see what we've got on the bottom. I'll put the overhead on just to see if it makes a better perspective for you guys. Bear with me for a second because this has to be set up manually every time because it does get into my camera shot. Put that over there. And I charged it up yesterday, so even though it's been off, I'm sure the battery has drained a bit just because it's sitting. It's just a Sony thing. It doesn't happen to any other cameras I own, including DSLRs. But all of the Sonys, whether it's a camcorder or a DSLR, their battery drains when the camera's off. It's the most frustrating thing. For the kind of money Sony charges and the way that they promote their products as being so industry leading, they seem to be lagging far behind in lithium-ion technology. Let's go to close-up camera input and see if that works. Okay, so I want to bring this closer to me. Zoom it in a little bit. Come on. Wow, I got to bring it all the way over. That thing does not want to go. All right, let's just try and make this work. What do we got? A screw, a screw, a screw, and then they put tape over this one to see if you've opened it. I mean, they can't really enforce any rules regarding that, but it's mostly there for their information. And then these 2 points are for the mount. These are probably holding in, I don't know, there's something here that might be holding in the heatsink. We'll grab our JIS, our Japanese Industrial Standard. It's like a small Phillips, almost like a Phillips Zero, but it just fits better into these screws. Now look, you can be real gentle and get a little blade and peel that up so no one can tell, or we could just stick the screwdriver right down in it. Not sure how you're supposed to get this off. Tip it upside down. Be careful, your Wi-Fi antennas, they may be attached to this, so don't yank on it too hard trying to separate it and then break your antenna wires. That would be bad. Something is holding this in. It almost feels like thermal compound. Like it moves left and right, and if I just gently lift while wiggling, it's got to be thermal compound. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Okay, so we have this fan that's here just to cool our SSD and our RAM. Now the box, does it say we've got 16 gig or 32 gig on the box? I want to see if we actually got a 32 gig model before I assume. "16 gig of RAM," it says it right there, 16G and 512G of storage. So we got 16 gigs and it's in one module, meaning it's not taking advantage of dual channel performance. The benefit of this is we only have to add one more 16 gig of the same specs. Otherwise, if we had two 8s or two 16s and we wanted to upgrade it, we'd have to pull both. So there's a good side and a downside depending on how you want to see it. We don't have to buy the same brand of memory. It doesn't have to be Paladin branded. As long as it matches all the numbers, which we can pull up with CPU-Z, we don't have to physically open the unit to see that. And then if we just buy another 16 and pop it in, we'll be in dual channel with 32 gigs of RAM. So yeah, so there's the RAM. Our solid state drive is also branded as Paladin. Isn't that interesting? I haven't seen that from other manufacturers. And this is our Paladin branded M.2 Gen 4 that performs really well. I'd be curious who really makes it because I'm sure they're just branding something. CMOS battery here. And our Wi-Fi card is right there. Easily, if you want to put a Wi-Fi 7 or 6E in there, you can buy it, take that one screw out, take off the antennas first, put your new card in, put your antennas back on. It's very easy to upgrade. Now, with regards to what's making that noise, it could be this fan. Not sure. They did give us extra thermal compound right here, a piece of tape. You go over on this side of this heatsink, which is helping keep the NVMe drive cool. And we've got our initial place for our NVMe drive is here. And then if we want to add another NVMe drive, we can add it here. Be mindful of this fan cable because you don't want it sitting on top, or your thermal tape will sit on top of the cable and not cool the drive. So you want to make sure when you're putting this back together, if you put a drive in this location, that the cable runs around it so the thermal compound will, or the thermal tape will completely touch this and only the top of the NVMe drive. Now, as far as pulling it out to see, pulling out the circuit board to see what's going on with the fan on the other side, we've got a screw in each corner. I don't want to do that right now because we will likely need to first remove this power cable from this fan and these two very delicate Wi-Fi antenna cables. I don't want to do that. It's delicate work. It's very easy to break. And if you thought there was a problem with it, you could return it. Don't try and fix it yourself unless you're out of warranty. If you do try to fix it yourself and you fail, you will have voided your warranty because you're the one who broke it. You need to leave it alone if you want them to not be able to argue that you're the one who caused it. If you're saying it was always that way, sure it was. You broke it and you're just saying that. So in order to ensure you're going to get warranty support, do not open the unit up for repair. You can open the unit up to upgrade it. You should not be opening this up beyond this level. You should not be taking this board out of here. For all the reasons I mentioned, on top of that, there's nothing usable or serviceable on the other side. If you want to blow the dust out of it, you've got all these holes, including the top and bottom, to blow air through. I really like that we have a fan cooling our NVMe and RAM. I think that's a great touch. And set that right back. I already feel that thermal tape sticking. Very good. Any final questions for me? We're just a few minutes over 2 hours, so we're running a little bit long today, but not terribly. We're still okay. Yeah, 16 gig, it says right there. Easy to get into, no rubber feet to remove. I appreciate that. That certainly explains what these are for. They're obviously mount points for the screws that hold the fan into the heatsink. That's what that is. Don't over tighten these. Just get them snug. They don't have to be watertight or anything. And like I say, I think the fan I'm hearing is here. I don't think what I'm hearing is back here. It could be. It's possible. And there's your Trycoo. Usually there's plastic over the labels. Let's see. You can't see it, but you might be able to feel it. And what happens with this plastic is it ages and turns yellow and it'll start to wrinkle like within a few months, and then it looks terrible. So I like to peel that off if I can. It may not even be there. It may just be a finished. It's fine. Okay, let's go back temporarily here to camera 1 so we can say goodbye and wrap it up for today, as well as give you a last chance to have any questions addressed that you might have. Ray wants to know, with the fan on the bottom, should it be up off the ground a little bit? It does look like there's a place for feet that it didn't include. I don't know. It certainly couldn't hurt to have this lifted up a little bit so this fan can breathe. But this fan is probably blowing air out, I'm going to guess. It's probably bringing air in from the sides and blowing air out through here. No, I take it back. It's going to blow the air. I keep thinking this camera's on. It's going to blow the air out through these vents. So this is drawing air in fact. In both cases, it looks like it's drawing air in. So yeah, I think having a little bit of space would certainly couldn't hurt. Good catch there to point that out. I'm not sure if this was supposed to come with rubber feet and they forgot to put them on, because if it had the rubber feet on the bottom where these indents are, and by the way, you can go on Amazon and you can buy sticky rubber feet. They're very inexpensive. And that'll just get you up off the ground a little bit more. But yeah, we just have screws for the mount, this mount here. And we have thermal tape for the second NVMe if you want to add it. And then we have this, I know people thought this was a sticker. It does not appear to be a sticker. It looks like it's just a piece of cardboard. About the same shape and size as a sticker. Yeah, it's not a sticker. But we don't get rubber feet. This is just an HDMI cable, which is pretty standard with most mini PCs. And then the unit itself with the power brick. That's what you get. Is that fan noise normal? Is that what it's supposed to be? I don't know. Maybe. If anybody buys one, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. John Williams says, thanks for the live stream. Very nice Trycoo Mini PC. Enjoy your birthday tomorrow. Thank you, John. Frank Jimmy says, I guess you could keep it vertical. You could do that, but then you'd be blocking these vents over here. Because you want the LED button up, and then you want to have access to your ports. So, yeah, I mean, you could put it vertical. One way or another, you're blocking some vents. Let me check the phone before we wrap it up today. I don't think I've looked at this the whole time we've been live. I think we haven't missed anything here, which is good. And again, I thank you for all the members and everybody participating in the chat today. Thanks for spending your Saturday with us. Thank you for your super chat contributions as well. If I can find my viewer activity tab, I can reiterate and thank again David Graham, Peter VZ, Techno NYC Key, and Mark Gaines, as well as Zach Bischoff, Um, appreciate everybody there supporting the channel through either contributions or membership renewals. Zach says in his membership renewal, I can't believe it's been 18 months since I first supported you. Where has the time gone? Yeah, well, it means a lot to me and I appreciate it, and it doesn't go unnoticed. So a special thank you to those who support the channel financially so we can continue to bring unique content from a perspective that is not biased through financial gain or financial loss. I wish every YouTube channel was this way, but if they were, I wouldn't feel compelled to make videos anymore. So as long as the vast majority of tech YouTube videos continue to be polished, scripted, edited, paid for commercials on behalf of corporations disguised to look like reviews, we continue to be motivated to never ever do that under any exception. And if I'm showing you a product I like, it's because I like it, not because I'm afraid of upsetting the company for financial loss or that I'm trying to please a company for financial gain. It's strictly what I believe is something I would buy or recommend to my clients or not. That's it. So we appreciate the folks at Trycoo/Paladin for sending the unit to us, for allowing us to have the freedom to be honest about it. That tells you a lot about a company if they feel that their product is so good that they don't need to worry about a bad review, versus a company that wants to make sure that everything you say has their approval or they're not going to let you review it. What does that tell you about what the company thinks about their own products? So the fact that a company is that confident in their product says a lot about them. So again, we thank Trycoo for sending the unit. I like it. I think for $400, it's a great deal. The fan may be a concern. I don't know if it's normal or not. But pointing out that it's been sitting on the desk without any space, it may have been having trouble breathing that whole time. So it could be something that easy of a fix. I don't know. We'll reach out to Trycoo and see what they say. They'll watch the video and give us feedback if we've missed anything or if something was sent in correctly. They will also hear the fan and they will know if that's normal or not. And then when we hear back from them, we'll let you know what they say. But that'll probably be in some other live video, not a dedicated video on this subject, probably. So you'll have to watch videos to get that information. Thank you again for watching. Thank you to Mara, of course, for all the work she does behind the scenes, and the thumbnails and the video notes, all in the video description that she does. Thank you to our friends at Acronis and RoboForm and VIP CDK Deals, who provide us with quality products with a special discount for you guys that I would be recommending regardless. In fact, if they didn't offer you a discount, aside from talking about them on a whim, just because I like their products, giving you guys that discount is an absolute requirement. And I hope you take advantage of it. But they all have free trials. You don't have to take my word for anything, and everything is guaranteed. So there's no risk. If I'm promoting something, I stand behind it personally. Find me another YouTube channel that does that. All right, that's going to wrap it up. I will see you all again very soon. I will take tomorrow off because, you know, it's my me day. And then I will see all the members back on Monday at 1 o'clock for our members only videos we do every Monday. As a benefit of being a member, it is a private video that's very informal with far fewer viewers. That's my way of connecting with those who are the most supportive and to show my appreciation. They get their own stuff. For everybody else, we're always back on Fridays at 1 o'clock, always. And then throughout the rest of the week, as time permits, I will make videos such as today. Lately, I've had some Saturdays available, and when I have a day available, I will make a video. I have plenty of content. I don't have plenty of time. So I thank you again. I will see you all very, very soon. And just a reminder, everything we've discussed in the video regarding the products or the services, the details are all in the video notes. So we appreciate if you check those out before asking your question, because it's probably already answered there. That's going to wrap it up. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.